Good evening, folks. To those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, happy Friday evening. Celebrate the end of the week. Welcome to Something More Than Gibberish. This is episode 72. There wasn't a show 2 weeks ago because I was traveling, but today I have the pleasure of featuring none other than Danny White from all the way from UK. Hence this ungodly hour. For me, it's 6 a.m. Saturday morning. In London, it'll be 9 p.m. UK time. And the US, it should be 4 p.m. Friday EST. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Tom. Hi, Sumit. I'm just waiting for Danny Boy to rock up, and then we should be good to go. Might just send this to Danny actually, just to make sure he's got the link, because LG, welcome. I'm glad we got those times sorted out for you. Yeah, I was just saying it's 6 a.m. Saturday morning for me, so there's an ungodly hour to get out of bed on a Saturday morning, but things you do for the show, right? So waiting for the guest of honor now, and yeah, this is episode 72. So we the show's been ticking along. Come August, it'll be 3 years, and I can't believe that it's taken me so long to get to Danny, because unless you are in close contact with people, it's easy to overlook featured guests. And here he is. Hi, Danny. Welcome. If you put in a request, brother, I'll bring you up. And here he is. Let's get in. This man's got so much to say, and he does so much, so there's a lot to talk about. I can't believe it's taken me nearly very close to 3 years. Welcome, brother.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, so good, so good. Finally,
I can't.
we're live.
I was just saying, I can't believe the show's nearly 3 years and I finally got to get you on the show. So thank you for your time. I know it's life's not easy when you've got a young one, and you do so much in the writing world, which blew me away when I was reading your bio. I cannot believe you started writing with COVID. That was not that long ago.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I started writing with intent when COVID happened.
Yeah,
I'd always written as just a side salad, just a hobby on the side in different periods of my life. But the first time I wrote thinking I'm actually writing something that I want to share was, yeah, just as COVID hit. And I think the pressure and the intensity and the emotion of COVID just, I don't know, set something off inside of me.
of course.
And
Yeah.
everything came flooding out.
And what blew me away, that's not a long time, right? I
Hmm.
started writing back in 1989, just for myself, while traveling around. And in this short time, you have got 8 books out.
I think it's 9 now.
9. There you go.
Yeah.
9. And that's phenomenal, man. That really, really is. Blew me away. In 9 books in just as many years, possibly, right?
Yes. Although I would say, looking back now at the first few, I look at them with sort of a friendly disdain. When I read back over them, I'm like, oh wow, I feel like I've grown so much since the day I wrote that and since I put that book together.
Yeah.
I think the growth is so fast because it's rare in life where you find something that's your passion and gift,
Mm.
something that you get that sense of, this is why I'm here, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And when that happens, there's nothing like it, right? It just flows, and it's not even work or labor really. It's just I'm enjoying this passion that I'm pursuing. I just wish I could make lots of money from it, but you can't have it all, right?
But besides that, I mean, in that time, you also had a child, which is quite an experience on its own.
Mhm.
And then you also helped so many others to publish their own work. So,
Yes, I love doing that, by the way. I love doing that. I think that, especially where it's people who might not have access to things the way I have in my life, and education, technology, and so many people have got incredible voices. In fact, every human has a voice, right? Every human has something to offer the world. And so, yeah, helping others publish, I probably enjoy that more than publishing my own work, because your own work has that sense of pressure and doom, right? But yeah, I've helped a few people, and I've helped people learn the ropes and learn how to do it. And coached a fair few people, yeah, and I love doing that. I love coaching people with their mental health, with their journeys. All the world really is people, right? The rest of it is scientific circumstance, but all that really matters is people, right? Um, and yeah, to connect with people on that level, a creative level, is really, really special. And there was someone actually who I helped with their book, and it did really well. They're doing super well now, and I'd helped them with their very first book. And I felt like a proud father, that they're doing so well. I had that sense of like, oh, that's my little baby who's done that book.
100%, 100%. The um, um, One of the things that I enjoy doing this show is we connect, we read people's work, but we never really know where they're coming from. But in what you just said, the passion that comes out in helping others more than even producing your own work, that really shows your selflessness and where your writing comes, that from those levels of empathy deep within, from that compassion inside. It really adds a lot of authenticity to the pieces you write, when you.
Yeah, I think, um, to quote my favourite author, Terry Pratchett, I'm actually fueled by anger at the world and how it is. And that anger, I try to convert into something useful, harness it into something in small ways. Most of us can't do the huge things because we don't have the wealth or the power. But you can do 3 things a year, even,
Mm.
that affect someone's life, and you can make an impact. During COVID, in fact, while a lot of people were arguing over vaccines or not vaccines and masks and lockdowns, my wife and I realized, well, we could do something, right? We've got it okay. We both kept our jobs and we were both safe and well. And so we volunteered, and we both went out and we did what we could volunteering, helping people, picking up their medicine, their shopping, taxiing people about, and all stuff like this. And at the end of it, I just thought, wow, I feel so much better that I can say to my son when he asks, what did you do during COVID? I can say, well, I started to write, and I helped people. The guy just down the road from us, we helped, and we got him through it. And I think I got that instinct from my dad. My dad's not a perfect man, but one thing he was always very giving to his community. He was always protesting and campaigning, and he was a loony lefty, a bit like myself, and he's always protesting and wanting change, and so I think that's something within me. But more importantly than that, in my varied and exciting life, nothing has given me more joy and consistent pleasure than helping people.
Yeah.
I don't think, for me, there's nothing like it, right?
Yeah.
You can party, sure, you can even write poetry, but nothing gives you that sense of, wow, I did something, I achieved something, I left a mark, an imprint on the world. And that can be something so small. It doesn't have to be large. People get scared because they think it has to be big gestures and massive change, but it really doesn't, you know. You could just message someone at the right time and save their life, for example. You never know. So I encourage everyone to.
I just lost your audio then.
Yeah, I get this. My phone came up with a message
Ah,
because I switched to Wi-Fi for the first time in a while.
oh, fair enough.
Everything's updating in the background. Yeah.
The You are 100% right there. I myself have spent most of my life giving. I give least to myself, and to me, I find a gift. I realized very early in life that a gift gives two ways. And it's like especially the gift of your time, right? It's easy to go and give somebody if I've got an abundance of wealth, it's easy to give somebody a big gift, lavish gift. But to give off my time, particularly to help people in whatever way, to me that's like that pebble in the pond. The ripples go on, as you said. It goes on even to set the examples for your own future generations, like your son, your grandson,
Mhm.
etc. You know, um,
Well, well, to cement the reason I'm like that, one is my mum and dad, and but also, so I really learnt the power of supporting others in prison, actually.
mm,
So I ended up in prison for 2 years in my teens, in my late teens, um, for being a stupid young man who got in fights, and one fight got out of hand, right? And in that time in prison, I'll tell you a little story actually. I spent the first few months moaning and complaining. Every time I wrote a letter to my dad or rang him up, I'd be complaining and moaning and saying the world's against me. And then one day I got a letter come through from my dad, and I opened it up, and it just said, well, why don't you help? Because I'd been moaning about all the stuff in. And he did, this letter he wrote just had one sentence, a question. Well, why don't you help? That was it. End of letter.
mm,
And at first, I was angry at him. I was like, "Who's this sending me that?" And then by the end of that evening, I was like, "Holy shit, he's right." Because I had a bright brain and access to an education, and I'd had relatively fortunate life compared to a lot of the others. So I started helping. I started helping people with their literacy, their reading and writing. I started helping them with computer skills, helping them for how they would apply for jobs, how they would write letters to get day releases, anything and everything. I just started helping people. There was a lot that assisting them with their reading and writing, and so we'd read their letters together and formulate a response and stuff like this. And then the rest of my time in prison just flew because every day I was getting up and we had like assigned jobs and that to do and stuff like that. But then I would spend my day helping people. And it's nothing seemed big. No one thing seemed huge.
mm,
But when I think of it, all of that time just became a real, like actually at times a real pleasure, right? And that was when I was really cemented in my heart that if you can help in any way, large or small,
mm.
it is so rewarding all round for the person receiving, for the person giving, and you learn so much from helping people and talking to people and listening to them. It's an incredible thing, yeah. So that was the point in my life that really changed me. I was quite selfish probably before that,
Yeah.
and quite self. centered, and I was quite wild, and I was doing silly things and getting in fights and feeling like the world owed me a favor. And that really changed me, and I've been that way ever since. Sorry if that was a long story.
No, not at all. Because one of the things I like with this show is to showcase the author himself, where he comes from, where he come from within, what drives, what brought them to the person they are today, where do they write from, and as I said before, a gift gives both ways. Now, as you said, you help people in a prison. You can only help people a certain way. More, not, you don't have wealth to give them other than like your time, right, to help them to read,
Mhm.
right, to computer skills, so forth. But look what it did for you. It's made you the man you are from that going down that wild road. It's turned you around and it's made the father, the parent, the husband that you are today, the writer that you are today.
Yeah.
A
Well,
gift.
my wife doesn't think I'm always a good husband, but I try my best.
That's an age-old problem, right? I'm sure
And I should say nothing prepares you for fatherhood, right?
100%.
Um, Nothing else in life prepares you for the size of the emotions and the job ahead of you that fatherhood or motherhood is. It's just an incredible different thing, right?
100%, brother. My son just turned 29. I still remember the overwhelming emotion that came over me when I held him in my hands. When they took him away to wash him and bring him back, I went downstairs to call my family and say, I got a son. And man, I was in the entranceway to this private hospital. I was sobbing like a baby, this overwhelming emotion. I was got a cigarette in my mouth and I was crying like a goddamn baby. People walking to hospitals going, what the hell, as if something died. And he's
Well, I,
69 now. He gets married in October, and I've never forgotten that. I remember the emotion like it was yesterday, you know.
Amazing. Well, I only got 20 minutes with my boy, initially because of COVID.
Oh,
So
damn.
he was born right in the peaks of COVID. And here in the UK, we had, at that point, we had lots of rules in place and lockdowns. And some people agreed or disagreed over that. Um, but it was what it was.
Mm,
So he was born by C-section.
mm.
And then I got 20 minutes with him, holding him. And then they said, "You've got to go." And I was ready for fighting. I was like, "No." And obviously my wife said, "Well, you've got to go." And I couldn't touch him or see him for 2.5 days. No, 3 full days after that because of the rules. I could see him at a window and stuff. And I'll never forget how that felt because our politicians here in the UK, the Prime Minister at the time, Boris Johnson, he was caught out having these parties at their residence, and apparently all of these top rich people were having these parties. And I remember thinking, "You bastards!
Yeah,
I couldn't even be with my son,
yeah.
and you were having champagne parties." I remember how furious it made me. Yeah.
Man, I can imagine what that was like. Yeah, for sure. Because in my case, I actually once the head crowned, the doctor actually let me pull him out, and then
Oh, really?
yes, so
Wow.
that man, it was probably the most challenging task I've ever done in life. I felt like this fragile little head, I could pull this head off these shoulders, and I was so
Yeah,
pull him
that's
out.
a heck of a
Oh,
responsibility. Wow.
man, I felt like I'd run a marathon and then I'd done another marathon straight after. I was so exhausted. So when they took him, cut the umbilical cord and took him away to wash him, that's when I went downstairs to ring my sister and tell the two stepsons, who, when I met my wife, shared the two boys of 2.5 and 4. I brought them up like my own biological children. I still got a good relationship with them. So to let them know and all that, that's when I bawled like a baby and sobbing, crying. Absolute damn.
Wow, I didn't even know you could do that. That's incredible.
And
That's
I was so focused
incredible.
on it. Once the waist crown, the doctor's sort of got his head down there and he's sort of looking up at me saying, well, and I'm going, what are you talking about? He was asking me, well, what sex is it? Because we did not want to know the sex like opening a present, right? And
Yeah.
I'm going, oh, it's a boy. And I remember looking up at my wife and I looked because she's there with her eyes wide open and I looked into her eyes and honestly, I looked right into her soul that day, the connection.
Mhm.
Yes, we're divorced now 10 years, but that connection, that moment, I would never forget in my life.
Well, I witnessed the moment of baby and mother first um, having eye contact.
Yeah. Mm,
Because with the C-section, they show the baby up in the air and then
mm,
they have to go and do checks and stuff. And the mom was actually the last to get to see him properly.
mm,
And when he lay on her chest and their eyes met, it was something
mm,
beyond description, right? I tried to write about it actually,
mm.
but I do actually have that video.
Yeah.
I videoed that moment, and you can see it's something beyond science,
Yeah.
right? And uh, you just saw this connection between them, and I
Yeah.
was just like, I remember being like, "What? Wow,
Yeah.
this is something else, right?"
I don't mean to tell you what to write, but honestly, Danny, you should watch that video again, remind yourself of the emotion, and do write about that. Because when you look at so many children who are estranged from their parents and all, I mean, that's a piece that can really touch a lot of people who are going through that
Mhm.
sort of. As I say, every show, one of the reasons with this show is to the conversation that we're having right now. Somebody in a very dark place could hear it, watch it, and could bring
Yeah.
back from the edge of the cliff, right? So I think you should write that because, man, we're living in a with all the socio-economic pressures that we're facing on a global level. Man, that could be something that and you've got so many estranged parent-child relationships. That could be something that could
Mhm.
hurt some of those, right? So you should watch that, remind yourself of the emotion, and do write it, man.
Yeah, it's a strange thing, isn't it, writing and poetry, that
Yeah,
sometimes if you try too hard, you just can't get there.
100%.
And other times you're kind of minding your own business and
Yep.
something drops out of the sky into your head, right? It's a strange thing.
Exactly. I've got to feel something or I've got to experience something for me to write. That's why you never see me write for prompts. I've got endless people sending me prompts, get to me, but I rarely, rarely write for a prompt because to me, that's just trying to force my wordplay to create a story on a topic. Whereas I've got to feel it. It comes to me. Half the time I write stuff and I read it and I go, oh, where the hell did this come from? You know? Actually, most of my work is like that. So, yeah. So tell me now, nine books out, and one of them was also a novel, right? A fiction story. Or
I've got four novels now in total.
I remember
Well,
seeing,
three novels, one novella.
there was one Peekaboo, was it? Or was that title? I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that's the latest one, Peekaboo.
Yeah, yeah, right. So
Um,
with the novels, what inspires those? Is it thoughts or words come in, and then you start the ball rolling, and then it flows, or?
yeah, so usually, so the difference for me between poetry and the story writing is poetry is usually something that's waiting to explode
Hmm.
out of my chest, right?
Hmm.
It's like this thing I need to say about love or loss or politics or whatever. Whereas a novel is more something you got to find, and you get these sparks of inspiration, sometimes one a day, sometimes 100 a day, and most of them fizzle out. But you get the odd one that stays sparkling for a longer time, and there's just more pictures and words and more scenes in your head, and then you think to yourself, well, this is a story, there's something there. and I usually draft around that. And if I get to about 10,000 words and there's still a lot to say, then I know I've got a big story on my hands. But to be honest, in most cases, it fizzles out. You think the idea is bigger than it is, and
Mm.
then you start writing it, and you're like, actually, this was a cute little thing, but there's not a full story there with characters and depth.
Mm.
And that's how it is for me. So for every novel, there's 20 other ideas that were sort of cute but didn't work.
Yeah,
And the one that keeps working is just like then a train ride, right? I just downhill train ride, and you're going, oh, it's still working, there's still more, and then you're just going and going. And for me, there's nothing like being lost in a
yeah,
story and writing. Yeah, it's one of the best feelings in the world. Like, and when it's flowing, it's thousands and thousands of words a day, right?
yeah,
And it just comes and it's just flowing and flowing, and you feel like, God, I could just do this forever without eating or sleeping or anything. And then you can have long periods where there isn't any of that.
yeah,
And you know, some people call it writer's block, and that can happen too.
yeah,
Um, what I tend to do in those moments is read.
yeah,
It, when you're not inspired, you should read, and when you are inspired, you should write. That's why
yeah,
I saw that as a quote once, and I think it's really great. Um, so yeah, for me, the ideas seem to come almost like the universe tapping me on the shoulder. I can be out at the park or just sitting chatting. We could be chatting now, and you could express a thought, and my brain will go, "Oh wow, that's really an incredible thought that could
yeah,
lead to something else." Yeah, but I think I was born to be a storyteller, not a poet, and that realization happened about 4 years into my journey.
mm.
And I started realizing most of my poetry is me actually trying to tell a story, and I'm in the medium of poetry. And I love poetry. I mean, it's incredible. It, the process of writing poetry and sharing and expressing. But I do feel like my purpose is to write stories.
Yeah, yeah. That in itself is kudos to you because, as you said, when the flow is happening, that you can sit there and write thousands and thousands of words. You don't want to eat, sleep. Now, add that complexity of you've got a day job, which takes time. You've got a home to contribute to. You've got a child to bring up. And to find that time, man, I admire how you make the time to do this too. And on top of all that, you're still there to get on lives and host lives that go for 3, 4 hours. You're there to help other people with their publishing. You're there to make time to even support people going through mental challenges, mental illness challenges, and so forth. So, how you make time, man? It's your time management is phenomenal.
I think that time management isn't a logistical problem. It's a passion and purpose problem.
Yep,
If
true.
you find a bunch of things that you're passionate and purposeful about and you take some joy from, the time management takes care of itself, right?
Yep,
You know, like I don't think to myself, oh, this is such a chore doing some writing. It's such a joy that I think, yes, I can
yep,
write from midnight till 2 a.m. And that means I won't get much sleep, but holy shit, I love writing, right?
yep,
Um, and there are sacrifices, like with everything in
yep,
life. You know, you can only do certain things and not others. You've only got certain hours in the day.
yeah.
Um, one of the advantages of being an older father, because I'm pushing close to 50 now, and my boy's only 5. I don't have the compulsion to want to go party and be
Mm.
out and about and stuff. So uh, that gives me more time, right? I think if I'd have had a boy in my 20s, I wouldn't have been as present as a father.
Yep.
But then I would have had more energy as well because he requires a lot of energy, my boy.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And even the promotional videos you do for your show with LG and all that, the videos you create, I mean, all that takes time, right? And energy and time and passion.
Again, it's
Yes.
because it's a joy, right?
Yeah,
So, um, it's really good fun just writing a little skit.
yeah,
I say write, it's mostly just like ad hoc
yeah,
and then just bounce it off each other. But because it's fun, it's like, oh yeah, this is like it doesn't feel like it's taking up time.
yeah,
But yeah, a lot of people have said to me they admire how much I fit in, but I don't necessarily feel that way. I just do the stuff that I do.
yeah,
Um, I am very good at one thing that probably is a differentiator is if I'm on a writing project, I'm actually not at the minute, but if I'm on a novel project, I can focus in on it.
yeah,
So my social media time can cut down to 5% of its usual, and I'm good at honing in and focusing in and getting it done.
yeah,
And I think distraction is almost like a new drug
yeah,
in with social media and the internet. Y- Not just social media, anything on the internet, games and fun or whatever. You can lose 15 minutes in what feels like 10 seconds. There's
Hun- hun-
it's just crazy now. And being able to suppress that and focusing on what you're doing feels like a superpower these days.
yeah. 100%. My problem is I've got too many damn passions. I'm even passionate about my work. I'm passionate about everything I do. So the problem I have is trying to prioritize which passion I want to give time to. That's my
Hmm.
I'm working on it. Even going to the gym and going to my yoga classes or going for a workout on the weights or whatever. I'm passionate about everything I do, and if I don't go, I feel guilty. So that's my problem.
I I used to love working out and I hate it now. But I do it 5 times a week
Yep,
because I know how worthwhile it is.
yep,
So I can't run because I've got a spine condition, so I can't do impact stuff. But I do the stationary bike 5 days a week, and I do exercises at home and stuff. But I hate every second of it. Like I literally have to say to myself, "You've got to do this today, Danny. You've got to do it,"
yeah,
and I do it. And my wife will say, how was it?" And I'll go, "Shit." And she'll be like, again. I was like, "Yeah, I just don't like it." But I realise how important it is to stay
100%.
healthy as you age. And
Yeah,
being an older father, I worried a lot about being really unhealthy and not being able to take part in stuff.
yeah, 100%. But as I said, I enjoy going in. The gym is one of the only place I do not even take my phone. It stays home. That is my time. So I go to the gym for 2 hours, and then I might do a yoga class for an hour, something like that. That is my time. No phone, nothing. I love swimming. I used to swim 3 times a week. I used to swim 3.5 to 4 kilometers 3 times a week. Um,
Wow, that's
that
good going. Wow.
that takes a couple of hours, right? So, but in that time, it's just me looking at that damn black line at the bottom of the pool and nothing. I don't take
Yeah.
my head.
So my wife would relate because my wife was a swimmer. She actually swam at county level in the UK. So county level, area level,
Yeah,
with the West Midlands that we're in. She swam at that level in the UK, and her dad was at one point in the England swimming team.
yeah,
So she's a swimmer, and she said the same thing actually. Like all there is that line on the pool, and you
yeah.
just swim in. Yeah.
it's meditational because you're not hearing anything, you're not tasting anything. All your physical senses, other than your eyes, which you're almost, and breathing, you're hearing, you're breathing. And before you know what, it used to take me into a meditational state.
Yeah, yeah. My wife says the same. She taught me to swim. I couldn't swim
Yeah,
until I was 24, and she taught me. I could splash around,
yeah,
and she taught me to swim properly, with the breathing and
yeah,
everything. And it's a pleasurable experience when you can do it properly, right?
and very
Yeah.
very therapeutic as well. There's no impacts, things like that. And it's exercise every muscle in your body.
I should. I don't know if there's comments because mine aren't working. So if I'm missing any, I'm sorry, guys. But hello, everyone.
When you were saying about the not going to parties, LG came back with a comment saying hangovers hit different too. So
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you're 21, you just could shake your hangover off, right? And then yeah, when you get to the older numbers, it stays with you the whole week, really.
100%. Man, you were talking about that you're pushing 50s. I'm over the halfway mark of my 60s, so I'm pushing shit uphill here all the way. So
Wow, you look younger than that, and that will be all the swimming and yoga and stuff, right?
maybe another couple of months I'll be 66. So I've got one foot in the grave, the other on a banana peel. So but yeah, you got to enjoy every day because you don't know the last breath is going to come, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that.
Danny, this conversation has been phenomenal, mate. It really, like people, and I'm sure I speak for most people on the platform. The thoughts by Steve is saying that we're both babes. God, been a while since somebody's called me a babe. A babe. It's a, it's it's
Well,
great.
someone at my son's school, when I went to pick him up, um, she she ushered him out and she said, "Oh, Sam, your granddad's here to get you." And I tell you what, I I was annoyed by that for weeks. Weeks. I was like, and my wife said, "Why didn't you just correct them?" I was like, I like to think I don't look like his granddad, but of course I am a lot. I am old enough to be his granddad. Yeah, and she said your granddad's here. She didn't mean offense by it. She just thought I was his granddad,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, wow, that's something.
Danny, it really, honest, man. I can't believe it's taken so long for me to get you on the show, and I think we're going to have to do a part two of this because I go for 2 hours because then I can download the whole video for posting in YouTube, Spotify, and all in one piece without having to do screen captures and all that. But man, this conversation is just so enriching, and I think it's a conversation. That's what I was going to say. Most people who know you from the platform, they see you on your lives with LG and so forth. They see your posts. But getting to know this other side of you, where you comes from, to me anyway, it helps me to understand where your work comes from, your pieces, where the origin of it. I mean, learning where you learnt, where you changed your direction in life through um, to be the person you are today in prison. I mean, that was phenomenal. Where you learn to give empathy and compassion and your time to people. These are things that, I mean, your list of people that you read, Stephen King and your Terry Pratchett and your Christopher Fowlers, George Orwell, Margaret Atwood. I mean, it's great reading their work and all, but it's also, to me, I get enjoyment to know where these. I always want to know the root of the tree.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's why I like doing the show, meeting people like this, because it gives me that other dimension to the author, to the person. So
yeah.
we'll have to do an episode two of this because it's I think there's
Well, I can talk for many hours,
right
but
because
the
and I
lives I normally do. is a mixture of shenanigans and poetry, right? So I don't really do much just chatting and talking and chewing the cud.
Yeah.
It's usually, right, let's read some poetry. And I love doing that, by the way. Um, Reading other people's work. And I remember the feeling I had when someone first read my work on a live back in 2020. And I can remember distinctly them reading it and commenting on it. And I felt like I could have just flew, like literally floated out of the room. And I'm always conscious of that when you're reading someone's work like that. It's a really great honor to be able to do that.
It is.
I mean, and to have a bit of skill in doing it and put your voice to their words. It's just another way of like helping and supporting people.
Yeah.
It can be a real game changer in people's journey as
Yeah.
well when you
Yeah.
read their work. Yeah, I absolutely love it. I wish I could do more. I don't do hardly any lives at the moment. That's one of those sacrifices I talked about.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe they'll come back. We'll see.
Danny, all I can say is the world needs more people like you, brother. It really does.
Oh, the world certainly needs something at the minute.
And speaking of poetry, would you like to share some of your work? We've been talking for
I'd,
4 minutes, and I feel like the show
yeah,
just started.
I'd,
Uh,
I'd actually love to. Yeah, I'd
yeah.
actually really love to.
Please also remember this. This show is not about me. I'm just a vessel that facilitates it. This is all about showcasing you, right? So you feel free to showcase whatever. Plug your books, show your books where people go. 9 books. I had no idea that you even had 9 books. So let's.
Well, this is the latest poetry one. It's called Medicine is Not Candy. The title of that book came from a children's TV show. There was an episode of the show that was said medicine's not candy, and it was a show that was teaching kids not to go in the medicine cabinet. And I watched it and I thought, medicine is not candy is a really fantastic concept. So I called my book that. Yeah, I stole it off a TV show. Um, this one's probably my most accessible poetry book in that the language is toned down a lot in terms of like it's less flowery and fancy and trying to be showy because I'm at that stage of my journey. Wicker Basket Mind, this one is much more, I guess, classical and erudite and fancy words and probably stuff that's a bit too showy, but I loved it when I wrote it. But Medicine's Not Candy is a good entry level for me. If people are into novels, Peekaboo is my latest novel. It's a horror slash thriller about a family whose boy gets kidnapped, and they make a deal with a demon to get their boy back at what cost. That's the essence of the story. If people are into horror, they might like that. But
When you released that book, I love the video that you and that LG created there for the book as well, from memory.
yeah, she did a little bit for it, and because she's actual actress.
Yes, yes.
And I asked if she'd do it, and then she sent something back, and I was like, "Holy shit, you're an actual actress!" Like, wow, you actually do this as a thing, right? Um, so yeah, that was really cool, and that little video went down really well. I think that prompted a lot of purchases, to be honest.
Yeah.
That video and promoting it, yeah. But I mean, I'm an indie author. I don't sell enough for it to be significant in terms of financial. It's extra pocket money but it's certainly. I'm certainly not ready to quit my day job.
The I actually find through my day job, I come into so many because I'm in consulting in IT in the IT space. So I meet constantly meeting and dealing with people. And I find events that happen in my life actually do trigger off some of my own thoughts and or discussions I have with people who get to know. So I enjoy that interaction during the day. Although most of the time I work from home, but I still interact with people constantly, and I find some of those can be the stimulus for even writing and so forth.
Yeah, so my my next novel project, which was based in California, I've switched where it's based to Wales. And I did that because I've been working on a project in Wales, the Welsh Valleys, and visiting there quite often. And I realised, wow, this place is where I need to base it. This place is full of character and depth. And so, yes, definitely, just everything in your everyday can contribute.
Mm.
I don't mind my job. I like my job. It's not something I talk about much in the social media space, other than on LinkedIn. Um, like I never really post saying, "Oh, here's another day in engineering on the railway." Um, but I like my job. I like the balance of it. I like meeting people. I like going to site, especially in the summer.
Yeah,
Um, and the characters. There's lots of characters in the railway industry, so I really like my job. I can't complain at all.
yeah.
But it's not a passion the way
It's a means
creating
that
is.
it's a means that facilitates the
Mhm.
lifestyle we want to live, right? Whether it's
Yeah, exactly. But I think you should try and find something you quite like doing, as
100%.
opposed to burning yourself out in something you hate. But yes, the dream would be make money from your passion. But if you can't, it's still okay. You know,
Yeah,
you can. It's still okay to have a normal job
yeah,
and be creative on the side and have all the blessings in your life. That's okay. I mean, it it doesn't have to be a success driven journey.
yeah.
Um, I'm very happy with the things I've created. I'm very happy with the poetry and books I've written, and I like to think I'm underrated. But it's a tough world to actually market and sell things,
Yeah.
and people will tell you you're incredible, but it's hard to turn that into
Particularly
sales.
for authors and artists, it is pretty hard. The old term "starving artist" is a very real word, right? Even musicians, they put out so many pieces before that one piece strikes, and then they don't look back.
Mhm. Even the author Kurt Vonnegut, um, he's quoted as saying, someone said to him, "Oh, you're considered one of the great American authors, one of the auteurs of your time," and he replied to the interviewer and said, "It's all very nice. People say very nice things about me, but they don't buy my effing books."
Exactly. Exactly. LG just gave you a compliment in the comments. I know you can't see the comments.
Yeah,
You're an incredible writer, Danny. So yeah, and you are. Speaking of which,
I actually need that because I've been in a bit of a slump in terms of not thinking my writing's bad as such, but just not writing enough with intent and not feeling like it's worth it. Like I've just had this little slump where I'm like, oh, what's the point? And it can happen to everyone, right? It can
yeah,
happen to everyone, but I, I do appreciate that it's my thing and it's something I'm good at and can get better at and better at. Um, so yeah, I appreciate any time you get that feedback and compliment. It's not always compliments. the the one day in January, I had two opposing reviews on one of my books on Peekaboo actually, and the one review said, "I love this book from start to finish. I was on the edge of my seat, read it in 2 days, fantastically done." And then the other review was 1 star, and it said, "I was bored from the first word." And I thought, well, what can you do about that, right? You got one person saying this is one of my favourite books I've read this year, and then another person saying I was bored. And you're like, wow, it's just a matter of taste, right? You can't take it too seriously. Um, that I just thought it was really funny, and I posted that on Threads. I use Threads quite a lot,
Yeah.
and I posted that on Threads and said, "Oh, here is proof that you know you can't please everyone." I just found it quite funny, but I think at the start, earlier in my journey, I would have found that quite painful,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
negativity. But now I don't. I think, oh, stuff isn't for everyone, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure
Exactly.
there's people who didn't like the Beatles, right?
As I used to say, as often say to people, if I went out in the middle of the road and stood on my hands, and there's 10 people watching, there's going to be 10 different opinions, right? Some will say, "Oh, wow,
Mm.
this guy's down," but others say, "Look at that idiot in the thing on his hand.
Or
He was given
or
to."
someone else will say, "Oh, I've seen better standing on
Yeah.
hands."
I've got to read you a
Yeah.
couple of comments. Tommy said,
Okay.
you have a unique filter on life, which you have. That's a very profound compliment. You have, as I was saying, for every person that I meet like you that's empathetic and makes time to give and gets pleasure out of giving more than receiving, or about spending your time on the self. For every person that I meet like you, I probably meet 100, 1,000 self-centered people, right? It's all about
Mm.
them and they got not a minute to. So it is a great filter to have on life.
Yeah.
Great comment, Tom. It
I
really is.
think I think
Now,
the numbers are less in the creative world. You meet a higher percentage of
true.
empathetic
Yeah.
people, I think, for sure. And I think it's part of being a creator, right?
Yeah.
But out in the general world, yeah, like the self-centeredness, it can be demoralizing sometimes, but
Ah,
then all you can do is do what you're doing,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No.
Look, you're right. When you get to my age, and I think, well, as I said, I've got one foot in the grave, the other on banana peel, and I think if this is what I'm seeing here, what am I leaving my son, my grandson, future grandchildren, future great grandchildren, whatever, what the hell am I leaving? And it can be very disheartening. And I've got to read you this comment by Thoughts by Steve. You know how LG said that you're an incredible writer. Steve put the comment saying LG is being nice because Danny can't read the comments. I love
That's a good point. Yeah.
the. By the way, I've felt so envious when Angela Sam came and she showed me some photos of you, Steve, and all together when you guys caught up.
Oh yeah, I've had um, I've had a few meetups in London, but yeah, meeting Angela. A- Angela's even more Angela than you think she is, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Have
Yes.
you met her too, right?
Oh, she lives 20
She
right from me.
and you've done events together, right, and
Yes.
stuff.
Now
That's so cool.
here's something for you, Angela, who has been reading people DMs and all on lives for years. She had never been on stage live because she actually had butterflies in her stomach to do it. And I dragged her. Then the bug bit her. Now she's pinging me. We going this week. We going this.
Yeah, she got up and performed in London when she was over as well, and she was incredible. Angela's super talented,
Yes.
super talented. Her lexicon of words is unbelievable,
Yeah.
and yeah, she's got a real acute understanding of what words mean and what emotions they can evoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great. Meeting her was great, and Steve is great. We teased each other. You know how it is with
Yeah.
blokes. It's like
Yeah.
tease each other. But yeah, Steve's great. He's really great live too. Steve is
Yeah.
really great. Yeah, great. And he's very animated and stuff on the stage and very poised. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
No, oh, that one says you pretty much every week we'd go to an event. Now I've been away for the last month, so I haven't seen her. But next week or something like that, we'll probably end up going to a live. By the way, thank you for pushing the show, and I'm glad we did. because I would have been in Nigeria when we would have
Mm.
original date of the 1st of May. And there was a lot of power failures and dropouts. My access was dropping out and all. It would have killed the show. So I'm glad. Thank you, Danny, for being understanding and pushing it back to once I returned. I only got back on Wednesday. I only got back from Nigeria. So, yeah, no, it was
So
thank you.
what took you to Nigeria? Do you have family out in Nigeria or?
Not at all. I've never set foot on the African continent. And I actually went there to. I love meeting people that I know, poets that I've connected with. I like meeting them in person. Like when I went to go to New York, for example, I catch up with as many people in person, like Tanika and all that. I met them, LaBelle, all these people. I meet them up in person. A lady who's I've featured on this show, Daisy Nwankwo, she's introduced me to a lot of guests, and most of this year I've featured quite a lot of Nigerian poets. So I went
Mhm.
there to most of my followings in the US, Canada, UK. I've had minimal following in the African continent. So I wanted to go and try and meet people there, and I met some brilliant poets in person, people that I
Amazing.
know, and I met people that I'd known online or that I've featured on the show. So I went there. Adaze was an amazing host. She showed me around and introduced me to a lot of people. Went to events with the Abuja Literary Society and went to some other open mics and met some brilliant people. Because from this year, I think I've probably featured probably 5 guests from Nigeria. So I went there.
Incredible.
And also, as I said, I can't write unless I feel something, and I wanted to get a feel of what life is like from an African, from their eyes, so that I could write and hopefully grow my presence and understanding. You probably see more work come out of me based on the African theme or the continent, the lifestyle there. So, yeah, and that's what took me there purely to meet people. I'm a man who'll travel 1,000 miles just to go and hear somebody say,
Incredible. Yeah.
and
Isn't it? It's the best thing, right?
yeah,
I've been fortunate enough to travel. When I was younger, the wife and I we travelled um, a lot. We went away for 9 months at one point, and we went India, Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand. We've been all across Europe, Morocco, Egypt,
yeah,
South Africa, and we've been fortunate to be able to travel, and it's just incredible,
mm,
incredible. Backpacking on a budget, just the two of us was incredible, and like you said, meeting people and seeing their cultures and being surprised as well. Like we went Vietnam, and in my mind, Vietnam was one thing, and then we got there, and it's like, oh wow, it's this whole host of other things,
100%.
right? Yeah, just it's one of the best things. I would urge anyone young, if they can, if they have the financial means, to take that gap year, before you start your and go traveling. It's one of the most rewarding things.
And I think backpacking or traveling on a shoestring is good because then you mix with the people more than when you go
Yeah,
and lifestyle hotel
that's right.
at your window, right? You
That's
actually,
right. We treated ourselves to in the 9 months we had two five-star hotels, one halfway through and one at the end. And that five-star hotel halfway through was just incredible because we'd literally been proper backpacking, in huts and stuff.
yeah,
And it was after Borneo. We went Borneo and we did 2 weeks in the jungle in Borneo. And
yeah,
then we flew into Kuala Lumpur
yep.
and we stopped in a nice hotel in Kuala Lumpur. And it felt like the most incredible luxury because we'd had so long not we hadn't had a shower properly for like weeks,
Yeah.
and we're in this hotel and it was just like, oh my god, it was like heaven. Yeah.
Yes, I know that feeling. I spent 10 years riding around Australia on a motorbike, so you can imagine, yeah, living in the outback, sometimes no human beings for 200 kilometers from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually got refused entry into Australia.
Really?
Yeah, it was my own fault. I screwed up the visa entry, and So we flew in to Brisbane, I think it
Yeah.
was. Is it Brisbane? Yeah. And they refused us entry.
Damn.
Um, and basically, I'd messed up my visa application, and the email to tell me I needed to redo it had gone into my junk, and I just assumed it had gone through, and then and it hadn't. And then at the airport, we were like, "Oh well, what can we do?" And they went, "Well, we can't let you in. You've not got a visa." And I was like, and I said, "Well, we're from Britain. We live in Britain." And they were like, "It doesn't work like that." So they offered, at their cost, they would either fly us back home or fly us to our next destination. So we chose New Zealand,
Yeah.
and we flew to Auckland,
Yeah.
and they flew us on to Auckland. And of course, and New Zealand's different with getting visas. You just, at the time, you
Yeah.
just went. So we went to New Zealand instead. Yeah.
Yeah. New Zealand's a beautiful place. I mean, it's only a
Oh,
four.
it's incredible. New Zealand's incredible. Yeah.
I actually spent my
Yeah.
last two Christmases in Vietnam. As soon as I finished work on the 19th or 20th, bang, next day I was flying to Vietnam and didn't come back till January when I was due back at work. So
Amazing. Yeah, Vietnam's incredible.
I love the people and yeah, I love the
Yeah.
look, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if I end up moving there and living there. I love it so much.
Really, yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredible. We did like I guess you'd call it the war tour, where we went and saw different things relating to the Vietnam War, and then we went off into sort of the jungle, and we spent 4 days with a tribe,
Yep.
and in stilted huts, and that was incredible. There's actually a picture of me. It's my favorite photo ever. It's me with the chief of the village, and I'm 6'3", and he was tiny. I don't think all Vietnamese are tiny, but he happens to be particularly tiny. He was, he must have been 5 foot nothing, maybe even less.
Yeah.
And this picture's so great because it's me next to him. It looks like he's my little boy, and he was incredible. He had the biggest personality, and you have to be the chief, right?
Yeah.
And he had the biggest personality. He was incredible. Yeah, such a great host.
Man,
And
I-
we were
but
using French to communicate,
yeah.
which surprises a lot of people.
Yes.
So I was using my school learned French to communicate, because a lot of people speak French there
Yes.
from
Yes.
previous colonization, right?
Yep. There's still so many French cafes and all this sort of
Mm.
French quarters there that you can go to. And yeah, tell you what, speaking of size, like I'm not a big guy. I'm only about 5'8", and but you know, don't feel small. I'm normally fine. But when I was in Nigeria, man, I met some
You
giants.
felt.
I tell you, armpits, man. Seriously, these guys could bench press me, right?
Yeah.
5'8", 70,
It's
72 kilos. I
it's
mean, guys could turn
it's
around.
like that in Fiji.
Yes, yes,
The guys in Fiji are like generally huge, and I felt very average
yes.
in Fiji, right?
Yep.
And actually in New Zealand as well. New
Yeah, the
Zealand
Maoris,
guys are
they're
big,
big.
yeah.
A lot of Maoris and all, they're giants. And the Tongans, the Samoans and all that. Oh man, I feel puny compared to these guys.
That's
But
right. I spent months feeling like a giant because I was in Asian countries where people are generally shorter, and then we got into New Zealand and we went on a 2 day Maori tour, experience tour. And I was just like an average size guy. I was like, oh, this is great. I'm just average size.
uh, Danny, we've been going for an hour. We haven't even shared a piece of your work. Do you want to do some rapid fire pieces and share some of showcase your work? Because it's about.
Yeah, I made a list. I'm just doing them in no particular salient order, just
I'm going to
so.
let you go crazy because I think this is all about showcasing you. But the conversation's so interesting, I can't shut up. So I am going to force myself to shut
Okay, I'm gonna read this first one. It's titled, or untitled, as Todd correctly says, "I Do Not Love You." And this poem was written right after an argument with my wife, and I wanted to write it out, and then actually what came out was something absolutely beautiful when I was expecting anger to come out. So this is I Do Not Love You. Apologies, by the way, I haven't read poetry out loud for a while, so I'm a bit rusty. I do not love you in safe ways, with clean hands. I do not love you in calmness, seas rolling freshly spun satin over trippy toes. I do not love you if love is only photogenic moments, doubtless, faultless, not careening down mountain roads, wind thrashing faces, frightened to be alive. I do not love you in happy ways. I love you aching and mortified, stripped bare, clueless and scared. I love you when love might tear us apart, cast our flesh to hungry gulls. I love you in the ocean on its wildest days, in weather warnings, blizzards, hurricanes. And I do not love you in warm ways, kissed by spring. I do not love you if love may not feel frozen and shatter to pieces under the weight of a careless touch, frigid and afraid that it might melt away to summer's heat. I do not love you in wedded ways, in finger rings and written vows. I do not love you if love is a contract between promise and hope. I do not love you in hopeful ways. No, I love you hopeless, folded by the world, stretching yourself thin between duty and grace. And I do not love you in tidy order, everything placed as wished by a dream. I love you drowning in fear and mess. I love you lost. I do not love you in living ways, breath blooming in eager chest. I love you close to death, in breathless memorandum, in wilting weakness. I do not love you if love cannot mourn the ones we've lost, who knew our name as a single thing, a single fragile thing. I do not love you in loud, pressing ways, howling adulation as wolves to the moon, bleating adoration in soulless serenades. I love you out of sight, with quiet mind, silent reverence. I did not love you at first sight. I loved you thereafter, incrementally by day, exponentially by embrace. I loved you on arrival. I'll love you as you leave, whether finding better rhythm for your heart or upon its last beat. And should you die before I'll love you in death, in soil and dust, your grave, your ghost. Haunt me, I beg you. I do not love you in safe ways.
That line, "I loved you on arrival, I will love you as you leave." That is such a profound statement. Look, everything else that happens from arrival to departure, it's all lessons for each to learn, right? So, man,
Mhm.
that really to bring out the best in each other, to be by being a mirror and reflecting, and to love you at the end of that is still what the
Yeah, I, I don't write a lot of love poems, to be honest. And I think that's because I've never been a person who pined for love. Like, I had a period of my life where it's like, oh, whatever, I'm not interested in stuff like that. I'm doing other stuff. And then I found one person, and I've been with them ever since.
wow.
And um, so yeah, I don't have exes or any stories. Like I met a person and then I've been with them. For me, sometimes love gets cheapened in that people treat it like it's a symbol or a token or a trinket, and
Mm,
it's not. It's a
mm,
thing that's around us to be experienced, right?
mm, mm,
And you experience love in the bad moments as well. In fact, quite often you feel love most in those moments. You need it most. And I think people rob themselves of the full experience of love by thinking of it as just romance and gifts, and all of that is lovely, by the way. I'm not
Yeah.
knocking that. It's
Yeah.
all lovely, but to me, the life experience of love
Mm.
is something bigger and wider and deeper, I guess.
Yeah. That piece captured the depth and the profoundness of true love, the true purpose of love, the true essence of love. You captured that so well in that piece. Exactly what love should be. It's not about, hey, it's the glamour, because that passes, right? It's
Hmm.
not about the good times. Matter of fact, the bond is quite often strengthened, as you rightly just said, through challenging times. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm not someone who would impose my journey onto others. Like everyone's experience of emotions and love is different, and for me, I don't think of love as being something on a shelf.
Mm,
I think it's almost it's in the air, right? And there's an opportunity to experience love, whether romantic or platonic or of any kind,
yeah.
at any given moment, right? Or you can show love in whatever way at any given moment. And I think romantic love has taken the stage and dominated it.
Mm,
And actually, other types of love are big, often bigger,
mm.
like the love I have for my son or my
Yes.
mother, whatever.
Mm,
And when it comes to writing and poetry, so many people write about romantic love, right?
mm, mm.
And oh, the lilt in your eyes and the curvature of your spine or whatever.
Yes.
And I'm like, well, yeah, that's all very nice, but what about looking into your child's eyes, or
Yes.
what about when you went through a thing and the person held your hand while you went through it?
Yes.
I'm not saying people don't write that, because they do, but I'd just like to see more of
More.
it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Uh, as LG said, man, you're an incredible writer, and more, it's the substance, the depth of the content of what you write. That's what appeals to me. Um, People can sit, one can sit there with a dictionary and blend words and all that, but life's messages, the true essence of that is something that's got to come from within, and you do that so well.
I hope so.
You
I
do,
hope so. Yeah.
you do, man. You're so loved. The number of people that were so over the moon when they realized that you were being featured on the show, um, and like with the time difference too. Normally the show's at 8 p.m. EST, US EST, but because to keep it a sensible hour for you, it's 4 p.m. EST when the show started, which a lot of people are still working, right? And there's soon
I'm
as I
so grateful though, because live shows are almost always for me like my middle of the night, because the American timings.
yes.
So when you said 5 p.m., I was like, sorry, 9 p.m. UK, I was like, yes.
No, it actually, same as because Nigeria is on the same time as you, and as I said, I've featured about 4 or 5 Nigerian poets, and so I try to keep it at a reasonable hour for the guests. But for me, it's actually 6 a.m. Saturday morning. So to be nice, so I was up on Saturday morning. I was up like before 5 o'clock. So I wouldn't, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, but you do, right? And it's a pleasure to do that, man. It really is. Um, Far away, feel free to go through the
Um, this is possibly my most recent poem, actually. Certainly the most recent one I've put anywhere. It's called Deforestation. And we were talking a lot about being a father and having a son. And this piece is about fathers and sons. It doesn't seem to be about that, but it is in the end. So this is Deforestation. Wildflowers wave worriedly at the bottom of my garden, tipping hats to the family of rats who have audaciously set up residence in my shed. It's my own fault. I've been meaning to declutter the dilapidated hut from monks. Liar. For years. But life, while it happens at this slow yet breakneck speed, meantime weeds invade and moss forms on the spade until the greens are those moist, mouldy ones. Colours that could infect a wound or coat your lungs with sickness. The rats are just being rats, doing what they're supposed to do, fiending for food and fornication, fending off annihilation. So I'm here laying down traps to assassinate creatures whose only sin is survival. And if I can't relate to survival, what can I relate to? My heart splashes, guilty sad. If I can plot to slaughter rats so nonchalantly, what else am I capable of? What other atrocity can I add to a gnawing list of harm? The lawn is formed of dangerous looking blades that might slice me to my knees. Birds tweet, bold and brazen, while busy bees orbit my cranium, buzzing scathingly. This is my garden, I whisper weakly, and the breeze replies, listen to yourself. Sad and pathetic. Stand up straight and get on with it. Do you know there's kids in Africa without a pot to piss in and you're complaining about a bit of hard fucking graft? By the end of the lecture, it's my dad's voice, deep and judgy. I can feel his blue gaze piercing my forehead. How are you going to raise a son if you can't even keep a decent garden? And that's the piece.
The I love like I love the lines that you painted, the imagery that you painted with, but those ending two lines, the ending three lines, like I felt my father's gaze to, and such
Yeah.
the last three lines, they're so profound. If you can't be this, how are you ever going to be a father or raise a son, right?
That's how it feels for me
Yeah.
sometimes, like, well, I've not done this. I've not even fixed out how am I going to be a father, and
Yeah.
I think maybe a lot of people feel that way,
Mm, mm, mm.
and yeah, this was just a piece sitting there reflecting, and my dad, in his judgy way, had said something, that he thought could be done differently or better as a father, and then it just stemmed from there. Yeah,
Personally, I enjoy hearing or reading people's poetry and so forth. But what I really love is a line, a word, a line, a couple of lines that I can meditate on, that drive my own thoughts. And those last three lines, I could meditate on that. I could literally reflect on that in the silence of my mind, with the room in darkness. I could meditate on that. The,
very interesting because that poem was written really quickly, but the last lines I agonized for a week. Couldn't get the lines right. I kept changing them. I was trying to express what I meant, and I just kept changing it. And then I sent the poem to a friend. I was like, I just can't get this ending. And they just came back to me and was like, just be honest.
yeah.
Say what it is. Say what you mean. Just be honest. And then I did, and I nailed it. Yeah. Well, I'd agonized for so long, and again, having talented, brilliant friends I can bounce off is so valuable, right? Like to be able to give you a steer, that extra set of eyes is incredible because sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees,
Yeah. Yeah.
and someone else with a talent and a passion can just open it up for you.
That you um you just showed the difference between us Australians and the Londoners. You said the wood from the trees. Us Aussies say the shit from the bears. Like we're such a crude bunch. We're really uncouth colonials. But yeah, I love things like those two lines that they'll ring in my head. You know what I mean? And they'll drive thought, they'll drive reflection. And I love pieces when those sort of lines and that ties and ends that piece so well, man. It really is. We've,
Um,
we've got about 40 minutes, so I'm going to shut up and
okay.
just you do something
I'm
quick.
gonna do the piece. This piece is called Run Sister, and this was the piece that started the journey off, really. Because this was the first one that I shared online because people I trusted had said it was really good,
Mm.
and they'd said, oh, you should share that. People will like that. So this was the first one I shared, and it got a great response, especially on Facebook, actually.
Mm.
So this piece was the beginning of the, I guess, online poetry journey,
Yeah.
and it's called Run Sister. Bit of a drink. Walk, sister. Walk like you've nowhere to go, but everywhere to be. Step out, sister, with loud pride and quiet grace. Saunter and traipse without fear of disgrace. March, sister. March through pain and blister. Stamp and stomp your angry, tired feet to a once forgotten, since remembered beat, and never again need you scare or retreat. And smile, sister. Smile from cheek to fresh, wet cheek. Don't just grin and bear it. Suck it up and wear it. Proudly beam like a cat that got the cream. Represent your dreams and be their nightmare. And try as they might to cut down your delight. Stand twice your height and smile thrice as hard. Be 4 times as happy. It'll drive them near crazy. Dance, sister. Dance in unalone solitude. Sketch your dreams through every room, then take it to the street. There let your rhythm and soul greet, and the past and present meet. Roll and grind, swing and glide, waltz and shimmy in fresh new victory. Salsa your demands, tap dance your story. Quick step your pride and foxtrot your glory. Shout, sister. Shout like you've always had a voice, wild, wise, and free. Scream, sister. Scream as if nobody ever said you couldn't or told you that you shouldn't, goaded that you wouldn't. Yell, sister, loud and proud, as if it's always been allowed. Wail from your top and bottom through virtue and sin, from the heights and depths of your soul, fiery hot, icy cold, from the wetness of eyes to the tips of your toes. Hurl your words to the darkness through your unbanished, unburdened lips. Damn well let it rip. Breathe, sister. Breathe as if first freed from balmy salt water. Gasp and choke if you have to, but breathe. Inhale and really feel it. Exhale and release. Revel in the sweetness and bask in the peace. And run, sister. Run like your life depends on it. Gallop with unfettered freedom and unbroken bones. Run like life might never begin, or it might never end.
Mm.
That's the piece.
That's relatable in so many instances. I can see that be a conversation between a parent and a child, between close friends, between somebody, a, a conversation between yourself and somebody in a very dark place or very lacking confidence to uplift people.
What one of my biggest sources of pride, if we're allowed to be proud, is my friend Christian. His daughter has got that piece
Mm.
on her wall.
Mm.
She's got it
Mm.
framed and on the wall. He messaged me and said, oh, we've put it on the wall, and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible. Um, Yeah, I don't know this piece. That, like I say, this was the first time I wrote something
Mm.
and actually had an instinct. Oh, this might be good. And my wife read it, and she said, the first thing she said was, "Did you write this?" And I said, "Yeah, yeah, I've written." And she went, "Wow, this is really good." And I didn't quite believe her because it takes time to believe, doesn't it? But yeah, but then I shared it online and I was getting all this feedback, and the algorithm was a lot kinder to poets back then.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, I think that was the first time I wrote something, a poem, and shared it and thought, oh, this is this is good. And,
yeah.
you know, it's got rhythm, it's got rhyme, it's got a message, it's got a beat to it, and it felt great. Yeah, that's the first time I felt great writing something. Yeah.
I can see how that can be an inspiration, almost like a mantra to a developing adolescent mind. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Somebody who's lacks confidence in themselves, or but through the peer pressures and all that, start to feel crushed. It can uplift a lot of people. It can be a
Hmm.
conversation between a parent and a child. And although it's a talk sister, it could be a father and a son conversation, right? So
Yeah, it can apply to anyone.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
very accessible and relatable on many levels.
I'm glad you said the word accessible because what I've found in my journey is a lot of my original older poetry is might not be so eloquent and perfectly done, but it's very accessible. And the way my journey's gone is I had this moment of, oh, I can write, and I started writing and sharing. And then I went through this period of time that I think a lot of people go through of trying to be too fancy,
Mm-hmm.
trying to show off, trying to use a thesaurus of language and be really smart with wordplay every single sentence. And I went through all that, and then I look at the mid period of my journey, and I'm like, wow, look at all this pretentious shite that I was writing, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And it's skilled stuff. Don't get me wrong; it's
yeah,
like very skillful wordplay. But like,
yeah,
what am I trying to say? And now I've come back full circle, and I've realised that clarity, accessibility are the key, and authenticity are the key. And so I write now with much more intent to be accessible in the language, in the meaning. Not everything has to be a metaphor, right? You can
yeah,
just say, and I found that's been my journey, and I've stopped showing off and
yeah,
hiding and started writing again what it is I wanted to say. And that's so important in the face of AI because we need to be writing our
yep,
unique human experiences.
yep. I follow,
Um,
I follow the KISS principle: keep it simple, stupid. You know,
yeah.
the I one of the things. Fun fact: I do not write many structured, even just to showcase my ability. I don't write structured pieces like sonnets. I don't write. I don't. I wouldn't change a word for the sake of rhyme if it deviates from the emotion, the message I want to convey, because I want it accessible. I try to use very simple words in my writing so that somebody whose English might be second or third language, their second or third language, that they can read it and grasp it without having to Google or a dictionary in their hand. So for the sake of rhyme, I wouldn't change a word that I'm using. I wouldn't, if I need 13 lines or 15 lines, I wouldn't cap it to 14 lines, but for the sake of
Yeah.
sonnet, I wouldn't worry about the number of syllables if I needed twice the syllables or half the syllables to express the message, that the emotion that I want to convey. And I love that. I love that simplicity and that accessibility, because at the end of the day, I'm not right. I'm not writing to showcase my grasp of the English language or the grammar. I'm writing to convey a message, an emotion that is accessible to anybody, any walk in life,
Hmm.
and that's what I
I,
write.
I think that for me, I guess versatility is one of my strengths.
Yep,
Um, I've written plenty of poems that are in structure,
yep,
and I've written plenty of free form
yep,
and spoken word and prosy. Some of my poems have a real rhythm to them and a flow to them,
yep,
and others don't. For me, while I'm writing the thing, it becomes apparent what a beast it's trying to be,
Yep.
is the only way I can put it.
Yep.
I wrote one of my books, The Ballad of Tommy McGavin, is an entire story written in poetry. So it's A B structure, and it's
Mhm.
the whole story is written that way. And that's how it came, you
Mhm.
know? That's how it came to me. And I admire the structures I've written in them. I think it's good practice and everything, but I don't hold a strong opinion. Some people hold these strong opinions.
Mm.
My opinion on poetry is, and I actually wrote this as a micro thing, a micro poem, is for me, poetry is measured in two ways: how real it felt or how real it made you feel. And everything else is unimportant compared to the impact that the
Mhm.
poem has. That whether that's the story it tells, the emotion it evoked. To me, if someone's crying tears or smiling, that can be from a sonnet or it can be from a spoken word, it can be from an advert, anything, right? And the expression and the emotion and the impact is what really matters.
Mm.
Um, and I've been moved by every type of writing. Like I grew up on classical poets, or
Yep.
you know, and I love that. And then now I love contemporary poets. I think I just love the art form. Um, I think the skill sets, when learned and used in positive ways to enhance your writing, is definitely worth exploring.
Mm.
But I've got plenty of heroes who never explored like that, like
Yeah.
Benjamin Zephaniah, one of my very favourite creative writers and poets. He's dead now, but I was fortunate enough to meet him. And his whole thing was he just would be in a room and he'd be moving about
Mm.
and speaking the poem. He
Mm.
never wrote his
Mm.
poetry down. He would just be in the room speaking it, and as it came, he'd say it. And to me, that's as legitimate as whether you've got syllable structure
Yeah. Yep.
or like
Yep.
they're equal to me.
Yep.
And I don't think you need to hold one against the other, but some people do.
Not.
And
Yeah. Look, there's. I give certainly admire and give credit to people. The people who write stuff for just slam poetry, as you said, the cadence, the rhythm, the flow of it. I admire all that and I love it. People who write rap stuff, as you said, some very, very structured, like the Daily Sonnet. I mean, he
yeah,
writes and he does,
incredible. Yeah,
uh,
that's his thing, right?
yeah, yeah,
And authenticity can look a lot of different ways.
yes, yes,
For him, his authentic self is that, and for
yeah,
someone else, it might not
yeah,
be. Um, I guess because I'm a diverse writer, it's hard to pin me down as being one thing or t'other. But I
yeah,
think the important thing is expressing, evoking emotions, talking about important things or telling stories.
yeah.
It's all valid, right? It's all valid. Um,
Um,
and
Speaking of the Daily Sonnet, just reminded me when I was reading your bio, I didn't realize that. But wasn't surprised that your background was of Irish roots. But what did surprise me was you said that someday you'd love the opportunity to move back there. That's awesome. That's really good.
yeah, I describe myself as Irish by birth and British by circumstance.
Yeah,
Um,
right. Yeah,
but I don't dislike being in Britain and being British. But let's say if Ireland play England in rugby, I'll be supporting Ireland, right?
yeah, yeah. Fair enough.
Because that's it. But I grew up as an ethnic minority in a sense because I was Irish Catholic in
Yeah,
Britain, and my family, especially the generation above, my mum and dad's generation, suffered incredible abuse for being Irish. And a lot of that abuse we see repeated in a cycle now, and it's a different set of people now that get receive that abuse. And in my lifetime, it was black people and Irish people, and then it became Pakistani people, and more recently it's Muslim peoples.
Yeah.
And I was raised in that around the fact that I was from a different creed of other people, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I identify that way. It's more important to me to say I'm Irish, or sometimes I'll say Irish Catholic, although I'm not Catholic, I don't practice.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes, let's say people who are of the prevailing majority, sometimes they struggle to understand why you might hold an identity so strongly to your heart, right? Because
Mm.
they're from a prevailing majority. Like my white British friends who only ever were white British, they find it hard to understand why that could be so important and powerful,
Mm.
right? To
Mm.
you.
Mm. Mm.
Um, so yeah, I'm very proud of my Irish roots. I do want to return there. I guess retire there.
Yeah.
Um, and I was actually planning to move to Ireland, and then Boyo came along, so we didn't. But the thing is, in this modern time, in all honesty, you can do a job from anywhere now, right?
100%.
Like I work from home a lot. I'm still get out to site and stuff, but I work with people who 100% work from home. There's one guy, he actually lives in Spain and he works on British projects.
Yep.
And it could be that I end up just living in Ireland but still working in Britain. I don't know. But yeah,
My,
I'm proud to be Irish of Irish roots.
yep.
Um,
My work,
and
my work, I'm fortunate to be able to work anywhere in Australia, even with any consultant, I can work anywhere from Australia. Overseas, with most clients, I can work overseas, but if they have got data sovereignty governance issues, accessing their system from certain countries, I can't. So,
mhm,
depending on the client that I'm working at, like the current client that I'm working at, they deal with a lot of personal information. So there's data sovereignty. I can't even store their data offshore, for example. So access to data from offshore, even for their own staff and me as a consultant, I cannot do that. So I've got to be on the shore, within the shores of Australia. But it doesn't matter which part of Australia. I could go in the middle of the outback, and as long as I've got an internet, I can do my work. So I'm fortunate to have that, and that makes the world a smaller place, a more accessible place, right?
mhm. Yeah, I mean, there are pitfalls to the internet, and there are incredible advantages to it.
100%.
Um, you have to manage the pitfalls because nobody's immune.
Yeah.
I've been there, borderline addicted,
Mm.
using social media too much all day, and the pressure that is, the pressure to respond, the pressure to post, and the pressure you feel of being seen so constantly. Um, and it's even worse for women, right, in general.
Mm.
And,
Mm.
and I think that if you can manage the pitfalls and be sensible about it, it's one of the most incredible things we've ever had. And in terms of connection, I'm connected with people I just never would have been able to connect with, right?
Yeah.
In all countries around the world. And I've got best friends now that are from literally from social media. That's how
Yeah.
we connected.
Yeah.
So I think it's an incredible tool.
Yeah.
But you've got to be wary. And I think Prince said it best, right? Years ago, he said, right when the internet was first coming out, he said, um, be careful that it's you playing the computer and not the computer playing you.
100%.
And he
100%.
said that on stage like way many years ago. And I thought it's so profound to realize he said that before we knew
Yeah.
so much. But yeah, just being able to share our art and our creations and connect. It's incredible. Um,
Yeah.
and it's on us as people to manage it, because those who own it are not going to manage it sensibly
Mm.
and carefully and human friendly. So it's on us to manage that tool.
Even
We can't blame others. They're not going to change. The tech giants aren't going to grow a heart or a conscience. So it's on us as people and as parents to understand that it's this incredible tool, but also can be a beast, and we can't rely on the government or the corporations to fix that for us. We just have to be aware of it, I think.
Well, if you look at our trade in publishing books, 50 years ago, unless a publisher, you'd have to send your manuscripts and hope a publisher would pick you up and publish it. Now, through thanks to the internet and online service, there's so many self-publishing facilities. 50 years
And
ago,
there's even AI publishing ones now, isn't
yeah,
there?
yeah. So
Um,
and again gives the people who didn't have access or the funding to, and who had great content, gives them an opportunity to publish their work, to expose their uh, on a global level. Yeah.
um, I've I've got a list here.
Yep. Go.
Um, I, I've got some that go into the world of politics, I guess,
Yep.
and I promised myself I wasn't going to shy away from that. I was
It's
thinking about it, and I promised myself I'm not going to shy away from speaking on the things I want to speak on. So,
you are. It's your feature. Feel free to share whatever you like, man. I've got no inhibitions there.
so
We've got.
because we were talking about Ireland, this piece begins with my Irishness and then goes into other things. Um, I think I should put a trigger warning on that. It talks about harsh subjects, war, genocide, etc., and it talks about things that happen. So there is a trigger warning there for anyone. And by the way, I read this from my heart. I'm aware there's people out there with different versions of everything, and I love and respect that. I just speak what I think is my truth and my heart. And I think that's all we can do, right?
Mhm.
So this is entitled Empire. It's quite long. It's a few minutes. I'd have thought to read. The Empire, in a previous iteration, wrought famine and desecration to my homeland of Ireland, stole the land, starved and slaughtered my people. Now, I'm not saying I care about genocide just because I'm Irish. It shouldn't take hereditary relatability to provoke my empathy. I prefer to say I care because I'm human. Palestine has been occupied longer than I've been alive, longer than most people have been alive. On the day I was born, another Palestinian child died. Correction, was killed. Correction, was murdered. Correction, was sexually assaulted, then murdered. Correction, was raped and executed. Her name was Umal, which means hope. After they raped her, they shot her in the chest and neck and in the anus. She was out collecting groceries, but they said she was a terrorist, an 11-year-old terrorist. Did I mention she was blind? An 11-year-old blind terrorist. Her brother, just turned 6, suffered traumatic shock so profound that he didn't speak for 3 weeks. And when he finally did, all he could repeat was his sister's name and the word sorry. In an attempt to justify their brutality, the authorities arrested her father, a harmless farmer, under terrorism charges, and he died mysteriously in custody. And 45 years later, here I am performing poetry about the same fucking atrocity. And lately, weekly, daily, hourly, something snaps inside me. My wife tells me to stop looking at the news because she can tell it's hurting me. And she's right. Not about the stopping, about the hurting. This morning I saw a 5-month-old baby starve to death. Yesterday a toddler deranged by shell shock. The day before that, a child gone blind from malnutrition. And on Wednesday a boy, same age as mine, begging doctors to kill him. Kill me, he said. Please kill me. Like those are the words a child should ever utter. Like those are words we can allow to leave a child's mouth without feeling crippling shame. On Sunday, small respite, a vehicle repurposed as a swimming pool, children splashing, playing, forgetting for merciful minutes that evil aims to wipe them from the face of the planet. Tuesday, maybe Thursday, I can't remember anymore. A story about a child kissing the hand of an aid worker after receiving a portion of food, then afterwards being shot in the back. And of course, the 5-year-old girl shot 355 times. Inside these walls, this safe space, I'm preaching to a choir, frowning to the flock. The message already squeezes your heart, grabs your throat as if it's yourself being choked. But outside this chamber is silence. I've been thinking a lot about silence, how it's synonymous with peace, but this silence feels so violent, like it might untwist and spit venom if I dare disturb it. God, the silence. It breaks my brain. Everywhere I look, I see people ignoring genocide as though mentioning it will cause them to spontaneously combust. And in the simmering silence, I tried a prayer. I'll try anything. I know the names of gods, but not who any of them are. It's hard to believe there are gods because how can they be watching this and not intervene? How can we be watching this and not intervene? I used to think of privilege as being the things you have. Now I realize it's the things you don't have to worry about. It's quiet apathy, creature comfort. It's keeping lips stiff and thoughts tight inside because not speaking is easier, safer. I'm not surprised they're afraid to speak up. If they do, they get shot down. Have you ever watched an algorithm turn frigid blue when it used to run red hot? Have you ever calculated the literal cost of non-compliance? Conformity makes money, so silence rains honey. Don't let your heart splash out of your mouth. Hold it in your chest where it's safe. Stay safe. I tried to find ways to express the horror, impress upon blind eyes the scale of the slaughter, but what words can be found to describe such callous desolation? I wonder about the gates of heaven, what might be said to those who watched thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of children blown to pieces, burnt to their bones without anesthesia. And people drank tea whilst watching the news concoct excuses for inaction, formulating false narratives to protect them from scrutiny, blaming complexity for their complicity with atrocity, nuancing their way to ethnic apathy, to peace of mindless consumption. And that's the thing about peace. To those without empathy, it simply means a quiet skull or an empty one. As long as the sound of bombs and the sight of melting flesh is far away, in places you only know exist because we're bombing them again. as long as devastation happens in foreign lands where people dress and speak and act funny, and you've been suitably conditioned to believe these people are less than you, savage, immoral, animals. Demonize the marginalized until your heart is so full of hate you forget why it aches. You forget which blood it beats. The empire marches on in new uniforms, higher tech, but the same old evil. Stealing land, starving and slaughtering people, lining pockets while state-of-the-art rockets rain terror more efficient than ever before. I believe God takes notes, and Sunday best won't save you. Collection plates won't dissolve this sin. Sanctimonious sermons won't service your soul. Because silence is tyranny and noise is insurrection. Peace is the promise we never keep. In the end, you'll be asked a question by a God, or worse, by a child. What did you do when evil presented itself? Did you choose quiet tyranny over noisy freedom? Did you at least scream for the children while their memory became a whisper?
That needs to breathe. That was powerful all the way through, but those ending 4 or 5 lines, asked by a child, what would he say? Yeah, that's man.
That was, I think that's the first time I've read it out loud on anywhere.
Mm.
I obviously read it when writing it, but
Yes.
yeah, I'm aware that there's sides and nuances to things. And what I've realized at this age I'm at now is you got to speak the things as you see them.
Yeah.
And if there's a chance you've seen them wrong, fine. Maybe you see a thing wrong. But if you stop speaking the things you see because you're worried this person might not like it, or this person will disagree, or unfollow you, whatever else,
Mm.
you're just gonna lose, right? So yeah, this piece was about trying to express that I feel deeply connected to the things that happen in the Middle East because we were raised that way as Irish
Yeah.
Catholic. We were raised with an affinity, and our people were also colonized and attacked and,
Yeah. Some of
and
the
decimated.
some of the commentary, Daisy said, "This silence feels violent." I mean, that's LG. What did you do when evil presented itself? Denise Noble Heart said, "I will never forget this piece, Danny. No words." And that's so true. There wasn't a line, there wasn't a word, there wasn't a sentence, a stanza there in through that did not echo the truths about war, the truths about the tragedies, the truths about what's going on, what has been going on, what is going on now, and always
Mm.
and has in the
I I hate the way that these two emerging tribes of people online get to dominate the discourse, and it becomes about them arguing with each other rather than about the children and
yes,
about the decimation and about the people. And you know, you can have someone who's from the blue party and the red party arguing and saying you're a moron, no, you're a moron. And I realise a lot of them are arguing with each other and they're forgetting the point. The
mm,
point is there are children suffering,
mm,
dying,
mm,
murdered, slaughtered, not just in one place, in multiple places,
yeah,
from multiple angles. And people seem so much more fascinated with arguing with each other in the tribes that they're in than casting their eyes on what happens, and
mm.
thinking about what it must be like for them. And that's what I wanted this piece to say. Um, and hopefully I did.
It did, man. That said so much. Danny, we've got about 10 minutes max left, and I know there's a lot more, and there's a lot more I want to hear. I enjoyed every part of our conversation, but I think we did a bit of injustice to actually sharing your work. This, I would love to have episode two of your feature, man, because you have a lot to share to the world. You have a lot to give, and I can send you the available dates. Matter of fact, I've got the 7th of August free. I've got the 9th of September, the 4th of September, 18th of September, 2nd of
You,
August.
you'll need to send them to me, and
Yes, I
I'll
will.
send them. I'll
Yep.
send them to the boss. The boss
Yep.
being my wife.
I,
She
I,
keeps our calendar, to be honest,
no,
because I'm a creative.
and, and as I'll say to all my guests too, Danny, this is only the first time. It's not the last time. Whenever you've got anything coming up, you've got a new book coming up, you've got a new anything coming up, message me and say, hey, Rainy, I've got this happening. Let me know. Is it possible to get on, man? This door's open to you, right? This door's
I
open.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I
Because
really wish I could get online and do lives more, because I do miss reading poetry, other people's poetry.
well,
And
you
I'm going to try and get that going at some point, but there's just, like we said at the start of the show, life has so many different branches, and you know,
mate, you give so much to people. This is a humble pleasure for me to be able to open these 2 hours. And the reason, matter of fact, when I showcased Robert and all, I used to go to 2 hours 45, nearly 3 hours. I think Robert was probably the longest show, 2 hours 45. But back then, Instagram weren't recording at high def, so you could get the whole piece, one video downloaded the archive, and then I could create the YouTubes, the Spotify's, and all. But now anything over 2 hours, it loses the end, so then I've got to do screen recordings and it kills the thing. That's why I'm limiting it to just over 2 hours, for that reason. But I think you've got so much to share, so much to offer, and I think you've got so much to say that people around the world needs to hear, man. They, so.
it's been an absolute pleasure. Honestly, I've loved every second of it. I hadn't been on a live for quite a while, and it felt
And
natural. And thank you everyone for coming through. I'm sorry I couldn't see the comments and respond to them. I I often get that bug on the lives, but thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. And
It was an absolute pleasure to be able to give you to the world, to show you because you give so much, and we nobody sees this side of you, and be able to it was a pleasure to be able to give you this humble gift. And I'm sorry it took so long, because August will be 3 years I've been doing this show, and I'm so sorry that it took so long.
a great show, by the way, really great. I used to do something similar way back, like showcasing people and stuff. And I think it's such a beautiful concept, to give people space to share their work and express what's important to them,
Yeah.
and just for everyone to connect with each other, because poets and creators are really beautiful, if a bit messed up and stuff, but we're beautiful people, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just lovely to connect in that way.
I've opened this platform to especially people who have a powerful message to deliver. And that last piece that you recited, there's no stronger message, there's no stronger piece that can be shared. So, man, but even in the conversations and getting to know you, I think there's a lot that people can glean from that, you know. So, you're an incredible human being, and the world needs more people like
I'm
you.
gonna blush.
Really, really. Um, and to have you as a role model, your son is a blessed soul. To have you as a role model to set the
Oh,
foundation.
that's a really nice thing to say. Yeah, I hope so.
Um, uh, honestly, to set the foundations and to for him to soar in his life like your own dad did for you, mate. That's a This old soul
Mhm.
who's been around for a while sees a lot, and I see a lot of good there, man. Really is.
Thank you so much, and to everyone, it was a pleasure. We'll set up round two.
I am, yes, we will for sure, because I wouldn't be doing the audience, I wouldn't be doing you injustice to leave this with so much unsaid to be that needs to be exposed about Danny White. And as always, the audience, I thank you very much too, because without you, without your support, it's very hard for somebody to come here and give off themselves. It's like you can't look at a wall and talk about yourself, right? But having you in the room, your comments, your support helps to for the featured guest to give more of themselves. So thank you for you make the show. I'm just a vessel that creates a platform. That's it. That's it. And Danny, you've been an amazing feature, my friend, and thank you for giving so much of yourself. There's people feel some of their dark past they wouldn't want to share, but you had no hesitation, and I think that speaks of your authenticity as well. So, brother, thank you.
Thank you so much. One love.
Once I'll add you as a collaborator, but once I create the YouTube and the Spotify, I will send you those links. Feel free to use them as you wish. They're yours. Uh, you can use that to promote, to do whatever you wish. I'll send you those links and I'll send you the dates and we'll lock in episode 2.
If anyone wants a book and they struggle financially, they're welcome to message me for a digital copy for free. I'd love people to buy a copy, right? But if anyone would love a copy and they don't have the money, message me and I'll get you a digital copy, no problem.
That reminds me, where can people get your books? Is it Amazon directly from you? What are the options people have to get you access
If
to?
if they look in my bio, the links are there. They can message me directly, but it's a real struggle now to get books out that way. It costs so much now, especially to America. Since the UK left Europe, we had that whole thing.
Mm.
If people wanted to buy a book that way, it would cost them like 4 times more than to just go on Amazon. I put my books on Amazon at the minimum price I can. That's honestly the easiest way. But if someone wants to message me directly and wants a digital copy or whatever, just let me know. Because I know not everyone has the means. And that's fine because it's about the words being out there in the world, right? This isn't my income.
Mhm.
So yes, but medicine's not candy. And if you prefer novels, Peekaboo's a really good horror novel.
Yeah.
Although one person said they were bored.
The it's I know where you're coming from with the postage, like being down here in the southern hemisphere, when people specifically want me to send signed copies to them in the
Mm,
US, Canada, it costs more for the postage than for to buy the 2 books.
yeah.
I usually wear the cost of the postage. I'll never charge people for the postage. Honestly, the postage is normally more than the cost of the 2 books.
Yeah, it's out of control how much it costs now. And like if someone's willing to pay and they really don't want to use Amazon, because I know a lot of people don't want to use Amazon,
Yeah.
that's fine. But and honestly, it's the least effective way for the author is to actually have to send copies physically because we have to get the copy anyway.
Yes. Yes.
And then go, yeah, it's not a favor to the author, but I'm willing to do it if people are really anti Amazon. But it's not a favor. It's kind of like I've got to send more of these out.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's just if you go on my bio, you can check out my books, or just check out my page. There's some of my poetry on there. Deeper in the pages, some of my videos as well of me reading. Check it out if you want. No pressure.
Danny, it's a pleasure to meet you, brother. Words surpass me to say how much it means to me to be able to meet a kindred spirit like yourself. And I am so sorry it took so long to get you on the show. But
No, we got there in the end, and it was a pleasure, my friend.
stay safe, everybody. Stay blessed. Danny, wish you and your loving family all the very best in everything you do with each day, with each breath you take, brother.
Yeah.
And we'll
And
make
have a lovely wedding, your son's wedding. Have a
third
great
of
one.
yeah. So that's but we'll be doing the show before that. Hopefully, I'll flick those dates out to you by the end of the day, and we'll line up number episode 2.
Okay, fantastic. Much love.
God bless you, brother. Thank you all.